Yo, what's up, internet people? I am kind of just like, wow. I want to feel as if this is a happy new year, but mm, it's looking real rough out here. One thing that's really been just bothering me for a while, ever since, the United States got their new dictator, is the focus on these extraneous things. Like, yeah, sure, a lot of the conspiracy theories are being proven true, right? But what did you expect? These are all little stories, little conundrums, and individual crimes that, to be honest, are just being used to enforce a shroud over the real crimes, which is countless millions of people being blown up, murdered, unjustly, unfairly, attacked by terrorist organizations, real terrorist organizations that are so comfortable in the eyes of those who are protected by, I guess, these terrorist organizations. And they're not really even protected by them because push comes to shove. But today I just want to talk about the Epstein files because this has been the biggest joke I've ever seen in my entire life. Y'all are really out here convinced that everything else is a distraction from the Epstein files. Everything, all of like, oh my God, they're just saying this thing and that thing to distract from the Epstein files. Like, oh my God, Guy doesn't want the Epstein files out because he's implicated. He's implicated. They're implicated. It's the Epstein files. Oh my God, they're distracting from the Epstein files. When, bro, these fucking Epstein files are the distraction. Like, that's the distraction. Who the fuck do you think cares, really? We been knew all of this shit in the files, just like the Diddy case. And now it's like, whoa, we're finally getting retribution. What retribution? There is no retribution. It doesn't exist. The Epstein files are a distraction from the bombs being legitimately dropped with everybody's money from the American country, the United States of America. Like, I mean, the American country, like, North and South America are still America, I guess, if you want to use that nomenclature. But we all know whose money is being continuously wasted on building actual weapons of mass destruction. Throwback. But focusing on the Epstein files, like, I get y'all clown Stephen A. when homie was like, oh, wow, the Epstein files? Niggas just worried about the Epstein files? I'm enjoying my Friday night. That was a wrong statement because he's still enjoying his Friday night. When, no, look, the Epstein files is one thing. Blowing up people with families, innocent people with families, every single day, blowing up people's infrastructure, blowing up people's leaders, terrorizing entire nations with my money. If you live where, you know, your money is being spent on this stuff every day, I mean, think about it. Just think about it for 2 fucking seconds, bro. Like, what's a bigger crime than murdering people in mass? Like, what's a bigger crime than that? The Epstein file? The island? The plane? Like, I'm like, it's actually so bewildering that people We'll talk about these files that they're just trickling out to, like, oh yeah, nah, look, oh my God, the oh my God, we got one over on them. They're so incompetent. Whoop-de-doo, they forgot to redact. Some of the files, like, they're just creating news stories to pad the media output, just so that you don't focus on people really being terrorized across the entire earth. Venezuela, Nigeria, and other, like, so many places in North Africa, the Middle East, like, over the years, Southeast Asia, like, what? Like, really? It's accumulating at this point. Like, it's accumulating at this point. It's not like these things you think of as just like, oh yeah, no, the US, they just have this military and they just bomb people because they just want the oil, and that's just, just how it is. Okay. You know what? Like, you might be right. That might just be how it is, because each and individual, like, every individual in the United States, citizen, it's not a billionaire, it's not a politician, no oligarch, they individually do not have the power to stop it. But who's being recruited to commit these terrorist acts? I know so many people in the US have those relatives that chose to do the terrorism for a while so that they could afford a house, so that they could afford to take care of a family. What did that leave them with? Not much. PTSD, maybe a Hellcat, and a nihilistic view of the world, because they know that they committed crimes. International crimes. I'm going to paint a picture for you. You're enjoying lunch in Midtown Manhattan. You're around friends. You're having a great time. It's the middle of the spring. You're walking out of the coffee shop or whatever place you chose to go to, and you're going to go shopping. You see everybody around you, somebody walking their dog, somebody just for the love of life on the phone with someone they love, smiling and happy. You see somebody pushing a stroller with a child. And then all of a sudden, the person who was pushing that stroller, their head flies into your lap. Everything is destroyed and on fire around you in a split second. The air is on fire and you're breathing in toxic fumes. Everybody is screaming. It's chaotic. There is mass amounts of death, dismemberment, disfigurement, trauma, terror. Sounds familiar, right? Sounds like 9/11, huh? 9/11 wasn't in Midtown. That was, downtown. But yeah, that one incident, right? The feelings, the national state of crisis, the disbelief, the fear. Welcome to how 90% of the rest of the world is living. Welcome to that. This is why the Epstein files, all these miscellaneous and extraneous cases, we could put them down for a little bit. We could revisit that. It was egregious what happened to everybody involved in some of these things. But those can't measure up to the egregious, vile, sick actions of militaries of the Western world upon, is it the global South? Is it the brown countries? Is it the black people? Like, the yellow people? Everybody that's not white? Because the levels of trauma that a lot of us who are people that are not white have experienced at our home because of terrorist Western organizations is immense. These organizations are not just bombing, but they're paying people. They're giving people resources to terrorize people, giving our own people resources to terrorize us. Those that are the weakest among us, those who may not have much. And no matter how much we can try to fix it, once it's infected into your people, into a subsection of your people that's usually the minority, but they're given guns, they're given money, resources to cause chaos and to destroy and terrorize people as an extension of the terrorist organization that is a lot of these Western organized crime groups and initiatives and intent. When I say Western, it comes from the Western movement of the British Empire and all the European empires westwards enacting colonies, which at first, I mean, they weren't even symbiotic. They were just babysat by the people that were already there living. And then once they got babysat enough and enough, infrastructure was built, what do they resort to? Terrorism. This playbook has been playing out the whole time. And shit like the Epstein files and this like miscellaneous nonsense that's still egregious, but it's all been a distraction from the real imperialist playbook. A lot of this shit doesn't really matter. What matters is human life, right? Please? Again, it's also the media machine. This machine that pumps out these clips. And only now do we actually get the other side of what was obfuscated for so long. We get to see people just enjoying their Friday night, their Saturday night. Next thing you know, smoke, fire, destruction. Nearly irreparable levels of destruction in a lot of cases. We see that because there's been a democratization of media to a degree, but even still, we see censorship on those things. And then they're like, oh yeah, Epstein files. Oh, Trump is so bad because of the Epstein files. Trump is bad because of the Epstein files and the murder of thousands, if not millions of people. That's like, we can't focus on all these things. We have to focus on one thing at a time. If you really are so adamant on getting these files out and blah, 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 and you're just wasting breath on that, where's that breath going when, like, legitimately your money that you just spent at the store, a large percentage of that, and also your money that you had to make your mortgage payment, your rent payment on, a large proportion of that, your taxes that you have to pay on your property, a large proportion of that, and a lot of you don't even have property, a large proportion of your income over the years in aggregate is going to murdering families, murdering children. And all of these are just casualties because we needed to get the leader of the terrorist organization. And let me paint another story. You're in Washington, D.C., enjoying the Smithsonian Museum. You get to see the rocket ships. You get to see the dinosaurs. You get to see all of these things. You get to experience marvels of technology, research, scientific advancement, and you're just walking around. And next thing you know, everything is on fire. All of this stuff is destroyed. And they just killed the President of the United States of America. To me, I don't really feel that deeply about that. At this point in my understanding of how this world is operating, I quite frankly, it would just be another headline. But to those of you who that really just struck a chord with you, just understand that when you're okay with sending your son or daughter to the U.S. military armed forces apparatus, when you're okay with you yourself going into the USAF, if you're okay with anybody around you, yourself included, going into the United States Armed Forces, you are okay with the President of the United States being bombed to death, as well as his cabinet, as well as possibly Congress and the Senate, being bombed to dust. And then whoever bombed them to dust comes in with a new guy you've never seen before, saying that everything is going to just be okay. We're going to be fine. You're okay with that if you're okay with joining the U.S. Armed Forces. That's what you're okay with. This is just a joke. It's been a very, very drawn out, boring, unfunny joke. And the punchline hasn't even hit yet. And when the punchline finally hits and nobody's laughing, that's when the tomatoes start to fly. At this point, can you understand that you are in imminent danger if you support anything that the United States Armed Forces and federal government is doing? And when I say anything, I don't mean those underfunded programs like the Department of Education that was destroyed, NASA that was destroyed, departments of FEMA and all of these aid, branches of the federal government that were destroyed, that are underfunded, that are never funded. I'm talking about the punitive aspects. And you can say there's a both sides argument here, but at this stage that we're at, there is no both sides argument. There is no, but the federal government does some good things. But sure. We would hope. But where has those good things been concentrated? During Katrina, where were those good things? But then Florida gets hit with something. Oh my God. It's just a national emergency. We need to send out everybody. These are organizations under white supremacy. These are organizations that don't help people and on aggregate, in mass, in need, they help the people that they want to help. And I'm never the type to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but it's seeming like this baby is the Antichrist, trying to convince you that you're being controlled by the Antichrist, that the Antichrist isn't everything else. It's some conspiracy. It's the Epstein files. It's the emails, the phone numbers, the text messages. Oh my God, all these scandals, when the real scandal is you're murdering people directly and indirectly, not only in foreign countries, but in your own. You're okay with the murder of certain people in your own country. Rights being taken away, human rights being taken away from certain people in your own country. You're okay with that. Push always comes to shove. Your guns probably will not be able to save you. Some countries have missiles that go so fast, and your downtrodden, nobody-ass town doesn't have defenses enough to protect you from hellfire. Because it's not the capitals that they would go after. It's not even the capitals that the country that you live in goes after. It's those villages, those places with no real industrialized infrastructure. They're living off the land. And they give certain of them guns and tell them go kill people, so that we have a justification to actually attack the bigger targets. You think, oh, they wouldn't know about my little small town in Idaho, Ohio, Montana. But who do you think they're going to send anybody at first? To destabilize, to terrorize. But you know why that hasn't happened? Because these people aren't thinking about that. That doesn't cross their mind. What crosses their mind is making sure that their people are secure, productive, taken care of, beneficial, stable. And then when this ideology that's been born in places like the Western world infect these places, now they're thinking about how can we destabilize this subset of people to exploit them and to exploit the biased media into justifying terrorism. That's when the terrorism happens. You notice this, you know about this, and don't think you're exempt, because you're okay with it. If you're okay with going into the U.S. Armed Forces or supporting it or supporting anybody who's going into those things. It's hard out here. Don't get me wrong. There's few other options, and that's the point. I'm going to conclude this because I don't think I can even talk anymore about this, because it's just so complex, convoluted. But at the end of the day, it's very simple. Your resources have gone into sacrificing countless lives. The money that you put into the system directly murdered people, annihilated them, annihilated their ability to rebuild, annihilated their ability to educate themselves, annihilated their ability to go out on a Friday, Saturday night and just chop it up with the people that they love. So if you're resources made that sacrifice, I think that you can justify making the tiny sacrifice of not joining the United States Armed Forces or the armed forces of any of your Western countries so that the terrorism can come to an end. I think that's a doable sacrifice. I think there's other employment opportunities out there because you're alive and relatively healthy, hopefully. These people that you would be terrorizing, that you're funding the terrorism of, they're not. But yeah, love you. I hope. I hope I can love you. If you can just kind of rationalize that the supposed distractions or the blah, 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 and the blee, 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 and just the simple fact that human life, ensuring that people are happy and healthy around you is your priority, then I love you. And I really wish you the best day, month, year, decade. I wish us that. So have a great morning, night, wherever you at. Please take a flight down to the like button, layover on subscribe on your way back to another one of my videos. I appreciate you. And I love you, and I hope that you stay absolutely safe and sound. And you can enjoy a few cocktails, a few beers on a Saturday night without the sky being on fire. Adios.